Yo, what's good? It's your boy Bdell. Today I'm going to give a historical analysis on the galactic bloodline of the Anunnaki, who are known as the Elohim, these primordial celestial gods that come from a different star system, the 19th galaxy on planet Risk, and how they're esoterically connected to the inception of the Moorish paradigm, which is an autonomous spiritual system that's outside the limitations of Freemasonic monotheism, right? So before we get started, I'm going to get my screen share going. Before we get started, I want to give honors to the Moorish Science Temple of America. I want to give honors to Dr. Malachi Z. York L. I want to give honors to the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. And I also want to give honors to Elijah Pooh Bey, who is known as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, right? So when you look at things from a retrospective point of view, and you break down the barriers of pseudo concept of knowledge that's venerated by American society, you can see why they demonize these three master teachers. That's because they were teaching our people that we have a divine creed and a nationality. They were teaching our people that we have a bloodline that's esoterically connected to something higher. When you're talking about the Anunnaki, when you're talking about our bloodline being connected to a geographical landmass in America, which is originally called the land of Mu, that was connected to Atlantis that predates Egypt. Now, what they will tell you about Atlantis, that it existed, but they won't tell you that it was a melanated civilization that was controlled and governed by Moors, right? So now I'm gonna pull up this document. It says verbatim in it. It's the 1848 Supreme Court decision in June 6th. It says verbatim that the title holders of the land belongs to the Moors, right? So here's the document right here. 1848 Supreme Court decision. It says the United States does not own the land of the ancient mound builders of North America, much more than 1 million square miles of land. The Moors, the Mers, the title holders. So you're talking about the titles, El, Bey, Day, Ali. These are basically 5 civilized tribes that was connected to the so-called Native American tribes, right? So when you're talking about the Washita Indians, the Cherokee, the Chickasaw, the Creek, the Seminole, the Yamansees, all these is basically an amalgamation of tribes that, belong to the geographical location of America, who are actually so-called Black people, right? So now I'm going to show you the Divine Constitution and Bylaws, Act 6, when I'm going to show you why it's imperative that you do not call yourself under these slave titles, right? So how are you going to have a 5th dimensional frequency? How are you going to be woke when you still apply yourself to 3-dimensional concepts, when you still apply yourself to calling yourself Black, African American, Negro, or colored? So now I'm going to pull up the Divine Constitution and Bylaws, right, that was propagated by the Prophet. So now when you read the Divine Constitution of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Act 6, it says that we are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. So like I said, in order to be recognized by the said government, you have to have a free national name. You have to have a nationality. So anybody who is telling you to venerate the concept of being an African American, telling that you are Black people, they are basically a provocateur and an agent of chaos, right? Because it keeps you acclimated to the 14th Amendment, which is a fraudulent contract because it was never ratified, because they place semantics and verbiage in the wordology. You see what I'm saying? Because the 14th Amendment is what keeps you acclimated to democracy. Democracy is a de facto government, which is the shadow government that's propagated by Luciferianism, that's connected to the Freemasonic order, that keeps you operating outside your spiritual capacity. So you don't know who you are. So like I said, if you don't know your nationality, you don't understand history. When you don't understand history, you don't understand the law. When you don't understand the law, you ain't got no you don't have any rights. You see what I'm saying? So you can see how this is basically synchronized all together. So like I said, man, like when you get pulled over by the police, you cannot stand on your square because you don't have a nationality. So with me being a Moor, my name is Bdell Rice Bey. So when I get pulled over by the cops, I have to put my nationality on the record, because they cannot impose the law if they don't have a nationality, because they're operating outside of the constitutional fold of government, meaning that they are outside of law, right? Because that coincides with international violation rules. So they have to have a delegation of authority order from Congress, right? So now, where we gonna go? So I'm gonna pull up this other document. So when you go to the Black's Law Dictionary, we're gonna pull up the law, 4th edition. So like I said, when you acclimate yourself to these titles is basically under the Civil Mortuus principles in the Black's Law Dictionary. So like I said, you are basically a corpse of the corporation that keeps you connected to being oppressed by their system, right? So now when you go to the term free white persons, which coincides with the Naturalization Act, it tells you right here, it does not apply to the Caucasian race, Asian race, the Indo-European race, the mixed Indo-European, Dravidian, and things of that nature. It tells you that the free white persons are basically the Moorish inhabitants of Spain, Portugal, North Africa, and America, right? So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but like I said, it says, it's pretty much cut and dry. You know what I'm saying? Once you break down the dynamics of how law works, because they use different words and wordology when you're in the court of law. Free white persons in court means something totally different. It only applies to the people who have a nationality, right? So now I know y'all wondering what's on my head. What I have on my head is the Fed. So when you're talking about the Anunnaki, when they came down, the primordial celestial gods, when you're talking about the Book of Enoch, the 200 fallen angels, when they first projected to this planet, they projected in the geographical landmass of America. So what I have on my head is a Fez. The Fez is basically the symbology of infinite wisdom. It's the symbology of finite knowledge, because the tassel is what connects you through the unification of the 144,000, right? So like I said, you are not woke if you don't have a nationality. You cannot unify if you don't have a nationality. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, in order to survive the shift from a mental standpoint, you have to unify together under a nationality. So when you're talking about the Anunnaki, when they came down, what you see right here, this is a Sumerian hieroglyph. He has a fez on the head, on his head, just like I do. And he also has the cross right there, but it's not an actual cross. That cross is basically the symbology of the crossing planet Nibiru, which is the mothership. So when you understand ancient occultism and all these secret societies, you can see where they get these concepts of knowledge from. So what they actually do is they take the more science, they take all the knowledge, and then they colonize it and usurp it and create secret societies, right? So when you're talking about the secret societies, the origins of it all came from the More Science Temple. Because when you're talking about Nimrod, which is who they venerate in the Freemasonic order through Luciferianism, Nimrod was actually a so-called Negro, because he was the first master builder in Kemet, right? So like I said, you got the ancient Babylonians, like I said, it was connected to the Sumerian aspect. So all these, you got the Kabbalism, Gnosticism, Knights of Templar, the Order of the Saints of John of Jerusalem, the Knights of Malta, Skull and Bones, the Theosophical Society, the Illuminati. So like I said, when you're talking about these conglomerate organizations, these secret societies, all they did was they took more science, flipped it around, inverted it under Luciferianism, and created fake religion, fake science, false spiritual systems, and things of that nature to basically keep you operating outside of your mental and spiritual capacity to where you don't know who you are, right? So now, where are we gonna go? So now, like I said, when the Anunnaki, when they came down, these primordial gods, they was wearing fezzes on their heads, right? Come on, what's going on? They were wearing fezzes on their heads. So then when you look at the hieroglyphics in Kemet, what does he have on his head? He has a fez on his head. Like I said, it's a sign of nobility, which is also called a tarnush. And other when you're talking about the cuneiform language and things of that nature. So now I'm gonna pull up the map. I'm gonna pull up the map talking about the land of Mu and how it was connected to Atlantis. Right? You got Mu. Like, for instance, when you're talking about Pangea before the continental drift, because what they don't talk about in the Bible is an amalgamation of 72 books, but the original books came from the 5 Mosaic laws. And then they amplified it to 72 books and then condensed it down to 66. So now there's 27 books that's missing out of the Bible when it's talking about the first flood, when you're talking about the continental drift, when all the landmass was basically connected to each other. So you had Mu, and then you got North and South America in between Atlantis. That's why you got the Bermuda Triangle on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean, right? So like I said, when you having this fifth dimensional shift that's taking place on the planet, you're going to see new landmass that was basically destroyed, millions of years ago. Once you come into the fact that, all these land masses it basically predates everything in the Bible. It predates everything in the Bible because the Bible's history only goes back to 4004 BC. And the people who's telling you the history about the Bible, they was created in 4086 BC on the island of Patmos, right? Which is on the basically West Asia, because there's no such thing as Europe. Europe is a created continent. So like I said, these land masses that was basically lost, these lost land masses that happened in during the time of the continental drift. When the fifth dimensional shift is complete, you're gonna see Atlantis. You're gonna see the land of Mu. You're gonna see, these ice walls that's gonna melt, and there's gonna be a shift in the landmass. You're gonna see all types of stuff, right? So now I'm gonna pull up. We're gonna talk about, where is it at? We're going to listen to Elijah Muhammad, what he has to say about how, the Moorish paradigm is also connected to Mars, because the word Mars actually means Lamu, Mu, which means deity of war, because Mars inverted. Now, I got this download when I was doing my research. So Mars inverted actually means rams through an anagram. And it's also synonymous to the color spectrum of the rams that was in the Super Bowl, which is synonymous to the Ukraine flag, the blue and yellow. So like I said, this is all basically a form of symbolism, a form of symbology to something that's going to happen catastrophic on the planet. So I had to throw that out there. That was like a little side note, but the original name for the name Mars is actually called the land of Mu, which means deity of war, right? So you got pyramids on Mars. So you also have pyramids on Mars. So that basically tells you that, the beings that created these civilizations on Mars is also basically the progenitors of the ones who created everything in a civilization when you're talking about planet Earth. So now we're going to listen to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad got to say about planet Mars and how our bloodline is connected to these primordial gods that created everything on this landmass on Mars.
All the white men go to the moon. Yeah, but what is the moon? It's our moon. He didn't find there where he made anything. No, he didn't make nothing up there on that moon. We made. Let him go and peep at it. Now he's making instruments to look at the civilization on Mars. Well, when he sees what's on Mars, he won't see no mark of his. It's our Mars, our people, so God have taught me, and that he didn't know they was there until just a few days ago. He used to look at Mars and just call it a star, and that's all. But our fathers made it with some type of intelligent beings like ourselves.
So he's talking about the Anunnaki, right? The Elohim, whatever you want to call them. Now, a lot of people, you know, this may sound kind of foreign to them, but this is the man who edified Malcolm X. This is the man who edified Minister Farrakhan. So if you calling him pseudo, you calling all these master teachers that we had in our history, you calling them pseudo as well. But I'm going to keep going.
They walk on 2 feet or hinds. They are not animals. They are intelligent people. The marks that we see on Mars is not from ignorant, silly, uncivilized person. They show signs of civilization. And they look something similar to us, not exactly, but they look similar. They walk on 2 feet, and they're not white folks.
Now, this is not throwing shade to any other race, but when you understand genetics, when you understand microbiology and genealogy, you will know that the mitochondrial DNA, you will know that, you know, the progenitor of the Black race is actually, you know, the origin of everything on the planet. So you can only get, you know, Black from, you can only get white from Black, but you cannot get Black from white. That's what he's basically saying. So you know who the first people here on this planet. So when you're talking about all these ancient civilizations that was created, you knew who was controlling those civilizations based upon the genetical properties of melanin, of carbon.
That show you and teaches you that we of this planet, the Black man is the first. Since we don't find no planet coming out with a super civilization over us. Tomorrow, people, they have civilization, but it's not equal with ours. So God have taught me. And not our equal, we are their superior. They are superior in trying to live long time over us. This is just because we got so much sense we're crazy. That's right. We know too much. And always is experimenting to know more, learn more. These people, the nature teaches them to be satisfied with what they have.
All right, I'm gonna stop right there. So now what you gotta understand is what book you need to get. You need to get this book right here called The Lost Continent of Mu. It tells you how everything is, you know, esoterically connected to the bloodline when you're talking about Mars and things of that nature and everything. It talks about the Elohim. You're talking about the gods coming down and edifying everything on the planet. So now I'm gonna show you a video. Like I said, you can stand on your square when you have a nationality. I'm gonna show you a Moor who got pulled over by a police officer. Because like I said, man, like when you understand the dynamics of the Moorish system, we were master astrologists. We were masters at knowledge. We were masters at history. We were masters at everything on the planet. So when you understand theology, you will see how it's esoterically connected to astrology. You can see how it's connected to law. So when you know both of those schools of thoughts, you can stand on your score in a court of law when you get put over by, the occupational governments, when you're talking about the United States Corporation. So I'm gonna show you a Moor who got pulled over.
Y'all ain't got shit to do with me. Fuck out of here.
Now I need you before we get started in his video. We don't speak radical and we don't use any assertion against any organization because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, right? So even though he's being very belligerent, by standing on his square, but this doesn't nullify the fact that he's right. But this is not the way to go about it. But at the same time, these Europeans, these fake police officers, where they got their codes of conduct from the 1724 Black Christian codes, right? So it was propagated by and created by Inquisitionists. So this is not the way to go about it. But like I said, at the same time, they got to uphold their oath because, like I said, they know they operating outside of constitutional fold of government, so they cannot impose the law on you, meaning that you're not under the jurisdiction because you have a nationality, right?
Jurisdiction over us. We're lords, and they know this flag, man. They know what this means.
Yeah.
Oh, they know what this means. They ain't dumb. They ain't dumb. They know this flag, so they swore oath on this. They took an oath on this. Yeah, they took an oath on this.
This is crazy.
So they swore oath on this. They know. Y'all want to know today?
You don't know today, right?
Y'all can test this fake. That's what the U.S. Citizen Day is fake. That's fake petitions. Y'all got no jurisdiction over us.
Yeah, fuck me.
Sir, they ain't got no jurisdiction. This is our flag. You ain't allowed to. They can't stop you from doing nothing. They get ready to get sued. Get out of here. Get your supervisor. Thank you, man. Oh, that. I ain't under none of y'all's jurisdiction. Fuck out of here.
Man, going. Pittsburgh, PA.
Yes.
Man, threw a flag out the door, though.
I was asking going to jail this time, baby.
He hurt.
The fire oaks from all of y'all. A memorandum. Y'all don't have the oaks and bonds of 1938. The shit's gonna get thrown out on that alone. The oaks and bonds of 1938 before registrations.
This is what you need to know. Stuff you need to know, fellas, ladies.
Need to up the game a little bit.
Stuff you need to know.
Going nowhere. They got no jurisdiction over us. None. They ain't got the status. This ain't their land. This is my land. This is my land. I'm a lord. I'm allowed to travel this land. They swore an oath to this. This is the oath they swore on. They all know it. Ain't no license. I'm not under y'all's jurisdiction. I'm not under.
So now what I need to reiterate, when you're talking about Freemasonry, there's a secret. The secret is you. The secret is you are the free national on the land. The secret is that, your bloodline is connected to something higher. The secret is that your bloodline is connected to a geographical location in America, right? So now, with that being said, I got to pull up this another book that I just have the PDF of. I don't have a physical copy. You know what I'm saying? You need to get this book right here because America is the real, true old land. Right? Damn. America is the true old world. Like I said, you got the Shiva temple, Isis temple, the Cheops pyramid. This is all inside the Grand Canyon. So when you're talking about the inception, how everything was created, when you're talking about the mothership, Nibiru, when they first came down, this is where they landed at right here. You see what I'm saying? So the progenitors of everything on the planet, it all started in America, right? So this is, like I said, everything is basically synchronized when you break down, when you see beyond the limitations of westernized knowledge, because everything that they teach you is based on the origins of colonization and things of that nature. So now let me see what else we got here. So like I said, he can stand on his square because he has a nationality. You cannot do what that man was doing if you consider yourself as Black, African American, Negro, or colored. because you cannot stand on your square, because you are still under their jurisdiction, because you applied to the 1724 Black Christian codes that was implemented by Pope Clemens. They gave Queen Isabella the legitimacy to overthrow the Moors in 1468, right? So now, with that being said, you know, it's imperative that, you know, we unify and get our nationality. This is how you reverse the polarities of patriarchy. This is how you reverse the polarities of a patrilineal system that basically keeps everybody in a state of oppression through the conglomerate corporations that basically creates capitalism, a new form of slavery. So like that, like, you know, with that being said, share this video, get this video out there, man. If you don't have the mental fortitude to try to get your nationality, what you need to do is you need to go to the nearest temple in your city at 7 o'clock on a Friday night. That's when the doors are open. Go to the nearest temple in your city or whatever state you in. There's a Moor Science temple. You just go on Google, look for a temple within your city, and then go there at 7 o'clock on a Friday night, or look for a Grand Sheik and look for his number on Facebook. So with all that being said, thanks for watching. You are not Black people. You are not African Americans. You are not colored people. You are not Negroes. You are Moors. See, so with that being said, how can you be from a place that you can never be deported back to? And then when you look at it from a scientific standpoint, when you're talking about the voyage from Africa to America, that's a 3 to 4 month voyage, and you had 200 slaves on the ship, and it was packed in like sardines. That means your whole lymphatic system was shut down. You know what I'm saying? You got slaves defecating on each other. So when you look at it from a scientific standpoint, it really doesn't make any sense, right? So even when you look at the phenotype of Black people, the people who is in this geographical location, we do not look nothing like these people. That doesn't mean that we're not connected to the bloodline, because like I said, you had Mansa Musa, who was a Moor who came over to America, and he started amalgamating with the Washita Moors who was in this landmass, right? So like I said, man, stop propagating that word Black. Stop calling yourself African American. That was created by Jesse Jackson in 1984. You see what I'm saying? Stop calling yourself these titles that keeps you acclimated to a 3-dimensional frequency. Ain't no 5D for you if you call yourself Black, because Black in science means death. Ain't no 5D for you, you know what I'm saying, if you calling yourself African American. You see what I'm saying? You calling yourself after slave titles. So with that being said, thanks for watching. Share this video. Claim your national name. Thank you.